It's such a glorious, beautiful morning here. The sun is shining. It snowed last night, and it's just a very pleasant sight out there. So I just want to welcome everyone to our episode today. I want to take you back to our previous episode. We had an amazing time talking about culture and those toxic marriage traditions as it relates to abusive relationships. And so today it's a whole new topic, and I don't want to spoil it because someone is going to talk about it in detail. But I just wanted to welcome you, and if you haven't, in case you missed the last episode, I just want to encourage you to go back and watch it. It's still on this page, but also you can find it on YouTube. On YouTube, our channel is The Woman of Valor. On YouTube, it has day at the beginning, so go back there and watch that episode. I just want to welcome my colleagues here. It's an amazing time to connect again. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us. I have Guide here and Faith. They talked about themselves in detail last week. If they want to add anything else, they will have time to do that. But I just wanted to say welcome, and I really appreciate you joining me in this episode. And we had an amazing feedback from our audience last week, and so most welcome. And also today is a very special day because it is Valentine's Day. Woo-hoo! In case you haven't received any Valentine present, I want you to take this as Valentine. And so happy Valentine's to you all amazing ladies out there. At this point, I just want to briefly explain what we're doing today. Our topic is facing the reality of moving out of an abusive relationship, because we talk about living. Oh, you have to leave, but what is the expectation? What is out there? And therefore, at this point, I just want to not spoil anything, but give it to Faith, because she's going to just recap our previous session, and then we'll take it up from there.
Hello everyone. Welcome to this space. Welcome to these conversations today, and happy Valentine's again. So I'm going to just do a quick recap from last session. I want to thank you, all of you ladies, for the positive feedback, for the love. A lot of you reached out to say how amazing this was, how important these conversations are to the community. So I want to acknowledge that and say thank you. We received the love and we feel it. And then I'm going to touch base a little bit on the feedback that we received last week. There were a lot of commonalities on themes that were presented by you, and that has shaped today's session. So a lot of women were like, we heard that when someone is in an abusive relationship, they have to leave. But we haven't heard how is it after they left? How do they get prepared for living? So today we're gonna just touch base on that a little bit. It's a very broad topic that we cannot finish on one day. Hopefully we're gonna have another session to cover the bits and pieces that will be left out today. And I also want to apologize. Last session was so long, and we sat down after that and debriefed, and we realized that, hey, we were a little bit not mindful of our audience, of the community that we were trying to reach out to. So we acknowledge that a lot of people might have challenges with internet, especially back home. So having 1 hour plus of a video to watch might finish all your data. So today we're gonna try to have like as short as possible. We're aiming for 30 minutes. And we also acknowledge that people are busy. Sitting for more than an hour watching one episode is such a long time. So we're gonna be so brief today, and we will continue to welcome your feedback, and thank you for having us today.
Thank you so much, Faith. That's so amazing. I just wanted to encourage all of you who are watching us today, and even if you watch this as a replay, just hashtag replay and tell us where you're watching from. We really want to know our audience and who is watching. We would like to hear from you. We would like you to shape the future of these episodes because we want your feedback, we want your comments, we want to hear your aha moments during our discussions here, and we want to know, can you relate to these things? Are these things happening? And how do you feel about these conversations? And at this point, I will give it to Guide to just introduce our topic for today.
All right, and welcome on Valentine's Day. On Valentine's Day, we are sending out the love, and so today we are looking at the reality of moving out of an abusive relationship. And in today's conversation, we want to hash out all the nitty-gritties, or most of the nitty-gritties that happen. That the reality of what happens is good enough to talk about the very decision to leave an abusive relationship. It could be a marriage relationship or even a dating relationship. And a lot of people will say, yeah, my cousin told me to leave, or my sister told me to leave. Mm-hmm. But what exactly happens after you leave? Mm-hmm. What are the challenges that you are likely to face when you leave? So that's where we're at. And like Togo said, we really appreciate feedback from everybody out there so that we can continue these conversations beyond just talking about this today. We are hoping that everybody who listens can then have a conversation with other women in their circle in whatever shape or form. So keep the comments coming, keep the suggestions coming. We need to be talking so that together we can create healthy communities, healthy families, and
children.
And help the children that we're bringing up. So one of the issues that has recurrently been discussed is the stigma that comes with leaving your relationship. We spoke last week about the value of a woman being, or she's a mother, she has a good job, and she is this and she's that, and it all tied up to you're only good enough if you are a good wife. So when you leave an abusive relationship, that title is no longer applicable. So what is it that you are going to do, because you have lost part of your identity? And a lot of us women place a big value on our identity as being so and so's wife, or being Mrs. so and so. So when you leave that abusive relationship, you have lost that identity of being the wife and of being Mrs. so and so. So what is the stigma that comes with that? We have to talk about the stigma that you're going to get among your family and friends, because one of the labels that you get is that you're a failure, or you failed in your marriage. And for a lot of us, being married on its own is a big achievement. It's one of the biggest life achievement ever. So when you leave, then there is that stigma that says you have failed at marriage, regardless of all the other successes that you have in your life. You have failed at marriage. So that's a label that you're going to have to deal with. And then there is the stigma that comes from family and from the church, because for those, we were talking about culture and traditions, and we have to acknowledge that most of our lives are parallel. We still have the very African cultural traditions, and a lot of us still were brought up in religious church-going families. So there is that stigma that comes from the church, because the Bible says God hates divorce, and therefore when you are a church person and you are now divorced, there is that disconnect. There is that shame that the church and those around you in your religious circle will project on you. And that's a reality that we have to also talk about in that space, and say, be prepared that you're going to be labeled as a failure. Be prepared that some people from the church are going to shun you. But also, be prepared that when you are in your family settings, you then get the label that, oh, don't do this and that and be like that one. That left her marriage. So now you become a point of reference amongst your family, amongst your extended family. You become a lesson. You become that label of that person, and it's very hurtful, and it takes a lot of time, a lot of self-love, a lot of self-awareness, and a lot of self-acceptance to be able to deal with that. When there are family gatherings, when everybody comes in with their men on their arm and their children, you are possibly coming by yourself or you're coming with your children. And then you don't know in the bigger table, where is your space, where do you fit in, because everybody's sitting in couples or whatever setup they have. You do really are going to feel very left out. You are going to feel as if you are not good enough, you are not adequate in those spaces. So we have to be mindful of that reality there. And then we also have to talk about, when you plan to leave, practically, where are you going? Do you have a roof over your head that you're going to? Is there a family member that can take you in? Is there a friend who is willing to take you in? And what are the repercussions for that person who is taking you in? Because there is a safety issue as well. If the abusive person that you are living is going to stalk you, you have to be thinking about how safe you are. And how safe are the people that are going to be supportive of you, and what needs to be put in place to ensure that safety planning in the future going forward. And there's the real reality of, how are you going to provide for yourself for the day-to-day needs? If you didn't have enough resources in this marriage, you were not able to save anything, or your abuser was the breadwinner, the reality is that now you don't have enough food for yourself, you don't have enough clothing, you don't have enough money to pay for rent. And those are the practical things that you're going to have to face, to say, who is going to buy the food, who is going to pay the rent, who is going to buy clothing and all the other necessities. How are you going to negotiate if there are children in the picture? Who is going to pay school fees for the children? And how are you going to continue having a conversation with that person if there are children involved? Because and how are you going to negotiate co-parenting? Do you feel safe having that conversation? Is this person going to be mean? Is this person going to completely cut you off to any access to the resources that you need to continue taking care of your family and taking care of yourself? So here we then have to look at the role of your family, the role of your friends. How helpful are they? How willing is somebody to help you walk through this? Because the reality is that a lot of people will say, I'm here when you need me. I'm here if you need help. But what does that practically mean? Are you really here to provide a roof over your head? Are you here to help buy groceries? Are you going to be here to look after my children if I need to go somewhere? And also, if there is need to move maybe to a different region, is there somebody who can help you maybe start a business, or is a friend going to help you find another job, or find a new job if you have never worked even? And lastly, just that physical planning, that safety planning. Are you going to be stalked? Are you going to be harassed? What can you do? Are the police able to help? Do you have family members who can stand in and defend you if your safety is in danger?
Amazing. That is so deep, guide. Thank you so much. And I just wanted to share that, when it comes to living an abusive relationship, nobody prepares you for what's coming ahead of you.
Because it's a difficult topic.
It is a very difficult topic. There's nowhere you can rehearse. There's no warning, there's no enough warning to prepare you for what's coming. And I just wanted to acknowledge our viewers. We have Tsanko from Malawi who is watching us. I really appreciate. I have some viewers online. Please just tell us where you're watching from, or just give us love emojis so that we know you're here. And we really, really appreciate. I wanted to share a little bit about my own personal experiences in relation to living an abusive relationship. And so let me briefly say that. It's so much, and so I'm like, where do I really start from? But when when my marriage, when abuse in my marriage was at its peak, I had just moved to Canada. And so coming from Australia to Canada, myself, my husband, and my daughter, the three of us. I don't have any relative in Canada. I don't know anybody. So I come here just because of this significant other who is very abusive, very violent, manipulative, and everything. And so my only hope was church. My only support system at that point is, especially at the very initial stages, like when we just moved here, was church. And unfortunately, you know what God shared to say, people say that, you know, I'm here when you need me. A lot of people don't mean it. And I want to put it out there that if you don't mean it, don't say. Because for me, there were times I really desperately needed that help. And so I approached a few people who had said that I'm here when you need it, when you need anything. And I'm like, oh, I'm facing this and I need this and I didn't have a job. I had my daughter to take care of, and all these things are going on, and I'm trying to settle down. I don't even know where to get any, you know, community resources or whatsoever. And so I'm going to these ladies and I'm like, oh, I'm going through, you know, the moment I mentioned my marriage, going through, you know, abusive relationships and all that, they completely shut off. And they don't want to hear it because it's something that they are not, first of all, comfortable talking about, but also they are church ladies. They don't believe in abuse, I mean, in divorce. And so the only help that I got was questions. They came in terms of questions. Are you sure you have discussed everything? Are you sure you have sold
A, B, and C?
Yeah, have you done A, B, and C? Are you sure you want a divorce? Are you sure, you know? I wanted something beyond that. I wanted somebody to hold my hand and say, hey, you know what? I know where you can get resources. I didn't have money. I'm not Canadian citizen. I didn't have insurance. I didn't have coverage whatsoever to even afford therapy or anything. The type of help that I needed that time was someone to say, you know what do you need? Do you need therapy? Do you think therapy would? Do you need counseling? Do you need me to come in those days and, you know, help with your daughter, taking her to school and back so that you can work on your self-care? Do you? I didn't get that. And I realized that, you know, a lot of people talk about, oh, I'm here when you need help, but literally they're not there. They are not there. And so, ladies out there, whoever is listening to us right now, if you say, I'm here when you need help, please mean it. And also, the other thing that I wanted to mention here is that, you know, a lot of people say this, I'm here when you need me. I'm here when you need me. But in reality, the person who is going through difficulties in their life might not be able to gather courage and really come to you when they need help.
Okay.
And so we need to be aware. And I think instead of saying, I'm here when you need me,
Check in.
instead check in to say, how can I help?
How are you doing?
How are you doing? Emotionally. Physically, how are you doing? How are you feeling today? And so by doing that, it's easy for someone to open up and say, you know what, right now I'm struggling with A, B, C, and D, or maybe I'm trying to look for a job. Do you know anyone who is? I was ready to do even like a cleaning job. I was ready to do that because I needed money. I needed money for therapy. I needed money for counseling. I needed money to make sure my daughter is comfortable. But I was going through this situation and I didn't have anybody to help or support me. So I just wanted to share that, and I know that maybe I will have time to share again, but I want to give it to Faith if she has anything, like any lived experiences to share.
Oh, wow. This is amazing. I am going to share a little bit on my lived experience. I think the faith that I was some years ago, I feel like if I had a space to have this conversation in church, that would be great, because that's the place that I used to go to for strength, for support, for my higher powers, for prayer, for like everything. I wish my church had open conversation, open communication regarding these issues. I think things could have been different. And I also want to talk a little bit about leaving. I want to mention that when you leave, it doesn't mean the abuse is done.
Yes.
In most cases, the abuse is gonna escalate when you leave, because this person feel like he's losing his power, and now he's coming in full force to ensure that he gets you down. So I just want to put that out there, that when you leave, don't tell yourself that it's over. Sometimes it's over, sometimes it's the beginning. So how do you get ready to face that new beginning? And also be mindful. Gail touch on different labels that comes after you leave your relationship. It's not only you lose the title of being Miss So and So. It's not only you lose the title of being my first daughter got married, I'm so proud of her. It's not only you lose your seats in certain tables. It's not only you lose your position in church, but you become this person who has no identity, but this person who becomes a threat in the same community that person belonged to, in the same community where you once felt so safe and welcome. Because now you were around other couples and families, and you're going to continue, maybe not, to be around them. So as you are in that relationship and happy, and the sister comes in to sit on that table, can you be mindful of your words? Can you be mindful of the things that comes out of your mouth? I remember sitting on a table with couples, and this one lady, because my best friend is married and I love her so much. So this lady was sitting on the table, and I don't know how this conversation came up, but this woman was like, I don't understand why a married woman is a friend to a single lady.
Ooh.
And I was like,
Ooh.
oh, girl, look around you before you open your mouth. I know that we say these things sometimes unconsciously, and we say these things sometimes not to hurt anyone. But as sisters, let's be mindful of the words that come out of our mouth. Let's look around us. Who is in your environment before you say something? Those little things, they go a long way in destroying somebody, in making, and those are the little things that will make people suck up abuse, because they don't want those labels. They don't want to feel like they don't belong anywhere, because they want to be in spaces where they feel they belong. So it's like you don't belong in church, you don't feel you belong in church, you don't feel you belong in the community. One of the feedback that I got was this girl was like, I wish I was prepared on how to face extended family. I wish I was prepared on how to face my community. And then I reflected on the things that she said. I was like, yeah, I remember when I left my abusive relationship and I went back home. I grew up in the village and I was working in the city. So even like being on the bus that goes to your village, you feel like you should just hide yourself because everyone is not welcoming, is not looking at you the same way. Even like walking around the community, when people come to your house, you feel like no one should tell anyone that you're there, because it's this big shame that you came back. It's like something is wrong with you. It's like your family is cursed. Why are you back home? So I just wanted to touch on those little things that are so important. So let's be supportive. Let's be mindful of the words that come out of our mouth. Let's look into our environment. Who is there? Read the body language. I'm gonna say that again. Let's be observant. Let's just like spread love. love. And also, ladies who are married should stop this idea of thinking that single ladies are husbands' natures.
Yes.
Why can't you think of your husband looking for other people? Why is it single ladies' responsibility to make sure that they don't snatch you? Like, that's nonsense. Like, that's nonsense. Let's just not look at other women like that. Let's look at other people with love and respect.
I love that honesty. I love that vulnerability. I love the sincerity of these conversations. And this is something that a lot of women out there are not willing to talk about.
Yeah.
But these are the realities of living an abusive relationship. Yeah. I just want to echo Faye's comments on losing your identity. I felt like that.
Yeah.
I felt like that because, like, you know, you carry yourself with pride and, you know, all these, you know, when the title of a Mrs. comes, right? And all over a sudden that has been taken away from you. And also the other thing is that, you know, when you're going through an abusive relationship, it's a cycle. It's a cycle whereby you're trying your best to save your marriage. Because honestly, to get to a point where a woman leaves that marriage, that home, it takes a lot of courage. And she would have gone through a lot. And she would have tried everything to save that relationship. And in the process, she's investing her emotions, she's investing her energy, she's investing everything she has to save that marriage. Because she's thinking about the shame, right? She's thinking about the labels. She's thinking about the attitudes in the community. It's like, you know what? Let me deal with this here and try as much as possible. And in the process, that woman is losing her own identity. And so by the time that is taken, like she doesn't have anything. And so she goes in the community there and she meets all these attitudes, all these judgments and everything going on. I remember very well in my case that, you know, those same places, those same girlfriends, because I made a lot of friends through my husband. Right? We had couple nights, couple game nights, whatever going on, and over we would meet once in a while with those couples. The moment we were no longer together,
You lost that.
I lost that. And I was no longer welcome. Even if I went there, like, instead of people doing their own thing, I felt like there was some sort of tension in the room, right? That made me feel so uncomfortable, right? And so we have to be really mindful that this woman, when she's trying to reintegrate into the community, she has gone through a lot already. Let's chill and not give this woman a lot of pressure on top of what she has already experienced. Let's be welcoming. Let's not put on an attitude to say, oh, she's here to snatch my husband. How about your husband? Why are you blaming her? Like, look at your husband, right? Let's stop fighting amongst ourselves. Instead, let us uplift each other and let us create those safety nets so that when a woman comes from her marriage, let us be welcoming and have a positive attitude and be nurturing to that woman, be supportive to that woman, help her to reintegrate and move on with her life. If she's got kids, let us make sure that we are supporting her with kids. If she's looking for work, let's connect her. Instead, we break her. We say, oh, if she's failed marriage, do you think she's gonna manage work? You know, there's all sorts of those labels. So I just wanted to say out there, please, let's be mindful of our language. Let's be mindful of our attitudes. Let's be mindful of our actions when a woman leaves her marital home. Over to you, Guy.
Yeah, so, you know, to just, you know, continue in that thread. Once you leave, it's going to be very lonely out there. So one of the highest needs that you're going to have is needing the emotional support. Like your safety net has broken apart. Those people that you knew as couples, you know, that has scattered all over the place. And there are people that are going to choose to stay friends and connected with your abuser. There are people that are going to choose to stay with, and then there are people that are going to be torn apart and feel uncomfortable and feel as if their loyalty is being questioned. So, you know, it's important moving forward to really acknowledge that it's going to be lonely for a while. It's going to be very lonely out there. Your emotional well-being is going to be taking a big hit. So when we talk amongst ourselves and supporting somebody who has left, we really need to be mindful of the language and also of checking in how they are doing emotionally, because a lot of the times we're not tuning into the emotional well-being of somebody. Faye had shared earlier on about a cousin of hers asking how she's doing, and she says, I'm okay. And her cousin said, you don't look okay. So it's important that we are listening to the conversation, to what the person is saying, but also listening to what is not said, listening to understand and listening with our hearts to the unspoken pain and being able to then, and sometimes it's important to just listen. Somebody in this instance needs to be heard, needs to be validated. Listen to understand, sit in that pain with the person and just listen. Sometimes when somebody comes to talk to you, they are really not looking for a solution, they just want to be heard. So can we be listeners and full holistic listeners? And then the other thing is, you're going to have to be explaining yourself a lot. When somebody wants to know what happened, a lot of people are going to want to know why did your marriage break up? What did you do? What happened? So you have to be discerning sometimes about, you're providing this explanation over and over. Why does the person want to know what broke you apart? What are they going to do with that information? Are they going to get that information and then help you go forward? Or are they asking you for that information so that they can go and share it with somebody else? Absolutely. So you're going to be explaining yourself, and then in that explanation, somebody is trying to find where you were wrong. But
to blame you.
To apportion some blame in your failed relationship. So there is need to be sensitive about that, but there is need to be aware that a lot of people are going to want to know the reason why it happened and what role. And so in that instance, you can choose to share or not share. Who needs to know and who needs to know detail? You are going to need to be very clear about who needs a one sentence answer and who doesn't need a paragraph.
That's true. Very important.
That is reality that is going to come. And then there are so many things in relationships that we take for granted. You are going to learn to do a lot of things for yourself. You are going to learn, if you have a car, you're going to learn to do so many things for your car.
To fix your tires.
Fix your tires. You're going to learn to put a light bulb on. You're going to learn to do a lot of other small things where gender roles meant that your husband or your partner did. Then when you do ask for males around you to help, maybe it's your friend's husband or whoever, there is a lot of innuendos there, a lot of women around you are going to feel threatened that now you're asking their significant
why are you asking my husband to fix your tire?
That is reality that has to be faced. And also just that conversation is going to be very spiritually draining. So it's important to know that that loneliness is going to need to be dealt with. So being self-aware is one thing that has to come into place. Be self-aware. Rediscover who you are. Rediscover your passions. Rediscover your mojo. Find out what you are good at, what you are passionate about. And love yourself. Accept yourself. And know that you have come this far because you are resilient. And you can do this. Maybe in this season, things seem as if we are sinking. Things seem so bleak. But you know that deep down, you still have that fighting spirit that will pull you through. And it's helpful to have people walk beside you in this season. But this too shall come to pass. The sun will rise. You will blossom again. But it's important to have some self-love. It's important to have some self-acceptance. But it's important to acknowledge that you are going to be lonely for a while. Because your regular circle is not there, and everybody else around you might feel like now you are a threat. That is reality. But it's also hard to get back into the dating scene after that. That is a whole host of another mountain that my sisters will share on another day.
Yes.
But that is reality. You are going to be lonely, and it's going to be hard for you to get back. And maybe you're not even ready, because you need to heal before you start another relationship.
Absolutely.
So some self-love, some self-introspection, and some self-awareness, and working on healing yourself, because you are going to be angry for a while, you are going to be disappointed for a while, and also you need to allow yourself time to grieve. You are grieving the loss of so many layers of who you were. Give yourself time to grieve, and people that are supporting you need to help you grieve and encourage you to grieve. Right? So as we support sisters that go through breaks up, those are some of the things that are important for us to be comfortable talking about, but also to know that sometimes you don't need to say anything. You need to be present just to listen. Listen with your heart, listen with your emotion, listen to the unsaid. And if you can provide company, if you can provide warmth, if you can provide any kind of support. I have supported friends that have left. My house was welcome. I said, if you need to, and of course with good communication with my husband, to say, hey, my friend is struggling, can we let her come? Yes. And we supported somebody come and stay with us for a while until she got back on her feet. And then there are times when we have supported friends, and we were mindful that even though we were friends with both people, we still were able to make sure that our allegiance doesn't change. They are still welcome in our space. And I'm hoping that a lot of us can have that conversation to say, even if you're no longer with this person, you're welcome at this table. Whether you are Mrs. or single or whatever that community that we used to have, you're still welcome to come to dinner, you're still welcome to come to date nights, whatever space. And the children also need to continue connecting with those people that they saw. So, it's important for us as people that are supporting somebody walking in this experience, to say, be genuinely available. If you need help, I'm here.
Yes.
Genuinely mean it. But also be there to listen. To listen and not say anything. Listen and sit with your sister in that pain. Listen to understand. Listen to be present. Listen to walk beside them. Not listen so that you can jump in with a solution. Sometimes people just need to be validated. Just need to be heard.
Thank you so much, guys. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Be aware of your language when you say I can help you, mean it, genuinely mean it. Sometimes you just need to sit down with that person without saying anything. Just validate them. And even just keeping quiet in that silence. Sometimes a person just needs this. And that's all they need. You don't have to say anything. I like the point where Guy, you want to say something?
No.
Okay. I like to reiterate Guide's point when she said that you can be friends with both and maintain that neutrality position in their life. You can still be. You don't have to hate the other person or to be. But still, you can support that woman, you can support that person without judgment, without, putting boundaries or without putting conditions to your support. I really, really love that. The church. Sometimes a lot of people have been hurt through the church because we believe that, divorce is non-biblical, until death do us part. And I know that we will have another opportunity to talk about this, but at this point I just wanted to acknowledge our viewers here. We have Banyalazi. I think that's That's the pronunciation. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering your name, but welcome, Vanyaladzi. Vanyaladzi. Okay. Most welcome. And we have James Evans Matabwa from Malawi. He's a guy. Thank you so much. You are our special guest today. Thank you so much. At this point, we're coming to the end of our conversation, and I just wanted to invite any questions or any comments that you have. Just put it in the chat. We are going to go through them, but at this point I just wanted to give it to Faith to give us her final comments, anything that's coming to your mind from this conversation.
I'd like to touch upon 2 points. One, Tawa spoke about that when she was going through whatever situation she went through, she wished she had money for therapy. She wished someone would say, hey, go there for support. I want to talk about this in my own cultural, or in my own country, or in my own community that I was in. I believe that the women that I was around, they are very smart, they are very educated, they have the resources. I know that in Swaziland, therapy and seeking social work support or whatever interventions and things are not present there. And even if they are, it might be very expensive. But I want the women that are there to use the skills, their expertise, because they have the skills. They can provide therapy. They can be there if someone needs somebody to talk to. They can create a safe environment for someone to feel welcome and feel that they belong. They can bring up these topics in church. They can bring up these topics in the community. So I just want to let you ladies know that you have all the skills. You have everything. I think the biggest thing is fear. People are very fearful of their image being tarnished into a failing relationship, being dragged into a failing marriage. I think it's time whereby we acknowledge that these things are here and they are part of us. Let's challenge them. Let's talk about them. There is nothing as being, I don't want myself to be seen involved in faith issues. No, that's a sister, just get there. Let's talk about these things. I think the rate of divorce is so high. Even in church, divorce is like rising up. Why is that happening? Is it because we are scared to have this conversation? Is it because we are not creating the space of us being vulnerable to each other? Let's the people that are there, let's fight for this conversation to happen in the church. Let's fight for this conversation to happen in the community. Let's fight for these conversations to happen at work, because these things are there. We need to talk about them. Let's stop saying, I don't want to be seen as part. Guy talked about being in a mutual relationship with both parties. A lot of women that are married to people or that are having relationships with people that hold much power than them, they find themselves like hanging, like just they're drowning by themselves, because their friends, they don't want to be in bad books with this bigger person that was abusive.
Absolutely.
So let's be a community that nurtures, that supports, that's real. I remember it took I don't know how many years. Like I have been drowning in this alone with my family, and a lot of people like Togon said that a lot of the friends that she had were from the partner's side, and likewise in my case, a lot of the friends that I created, because when you get married, it's like you leave who you are behind, and then you come to this environment where you're gonna create new friendships, you're gonna create whatever new social gatherings, circles, and all that. So for a longest time, I was just like on my own. I couldn't reach out to anyone. And my situation was even horrible because I had to leave the country. So I was not there to even answer to any question. So this person was the one that had the platform to say everything that they wanted to tell, whatever. So I was just in this in this deep hole by myself where my voice was just buried. No one could even hear what I was saying. So it's like it took years for people to be like, oh, now it makes sense. Some people reach out to me to say, you know what, Faith was sorry. We had this, and someone said to me, I'm sorry I was not available. I didn't know you went through this. So I think it's very important that we create the space, we allow ourselves to be vulnerable with everyone that is going through this unfortunate circumstances. So I think my takeaway from today, it's Valentine. And I just have my radical acceptance coping statement that reads, the present moment is perfect, even if I don't like what is happening. But I just embrace today, and I live in the moment, and I just leave the future to the universe. I leave the future to God, because I'm a believer. And my self-affirming statement, I accept who I am. I am very proud of the person that I am today. I have no regrets. I love myself. Oh my gosh. I know who I am, and I love who I am, and I love the woman that I have become. Each day I do the best I can. I'm here for a reason, and I embrace both my good and my bad qualities, because no one is perfect. I just live
that is so powerful. I really want to just read again your radical acceptance coping statement. It says the present moment is perfect, even though I don't like what is happening. Sometimes you go through the deep for a reason. It perfects you. I just want to say that, I'm this person who I am today because of what I went through yesterday. One of the things that I believe in is that once that is gone, find your own identity. That's when you need to spend time with yourself, love on yourself, get to know yourself, rediscover yourself, make new connections, because this is not the end of the world. There is over 8 billion people in the world, so you have an opportunity to make connections. I really love that. That is so empowering. Thank you so much for sharing that. Do you have anything else to
I would
say?
not want to dilute what Faith has just said. Let's leave it at that. Ladies listening out there, brothers listening out there, let's embrace this acceptance statement. Let's give ourselves some self-love. Let's accept the season that we're in, and walk with each other in whatever space we are. I absolutely love what you said, Faye, and thank you for listening in, and please keep the comments coming. We are going to be listening into those comments and continuing this conversation. My personal hope is that each person listening will have a conversation with those people around them. Talk to your nieces, talk to your friends, talk to your extended family, talk to whoever you can. You never know what that one encounter that you have with somebody might change their life. Just one person at a time. So have those conversations, ladies. Let's keep the comments coming, and much love.
Woo! Happy Valentine's. Thank you so much to all. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much, ladies. Amazing. We really appreciate you. Bye-bye.